Okay, welcome back to Perspective Drawings. Now we're going to tackle the perspective geometry exercise. Okay. Alright, still got it. So the first thing we're going to tackle is the ramp from A to B. So very easy to do. I'm just going to go back to this vanishing point and pull the line straight down. I'm going to extend it because I'm in AutoCAD, but you would just draft it straight down. Same thing here from this vanishing point, just extending it to get that edge, create that bottom edge, and I'm just going to trim. In this case, this would be very light lines for you if you're doing it by hand, and you would go over your light lines again to make them darker and more pronounced for your finished piece. So it's a ramp from A to B, so I'm just going to cast these lines down to create the ramp, and there is our ramp. Now, let me just trim that. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is, that was very easy. So the next thing we're going to do is the stairway climbing from point C to D. And they've kind of given us a frame of reference to work from here. So we're going to build it from that. Again, I'm going to use the vanishing points. I'm just going to extend this down actually to my base. And extend it down. It's going to give me the edge. Okay. Great. So that's going to give me the base of this form and these stairs. Just clean up as I go. And so the first thing is going to be this first line, the bottom of the first stair, the first rise. So I'm going to bring it over here again to my vanishing point and just extend it to this line. And I see that there is a rise here, and I'm just going to put back on my ortho. This is where you would use your triangle with your T-square to go straight up. And again to that point, to the top of the rise, and I'm going to extend. And this is going to give me the face of that stair. And then I'm going to go the other way to the other side, the other vanishing point, to get that angle coming back. I'm going to come here, and I'm going this way. You can just align these with your straight edge. I'm extending, coming up again. We'll just do one side and then we'll finish it off. Just going to extend and come back here. Here, and let me just go ahead and trim that. Here. So everything is going to the vanishing points, which is creating the perspective illusion for us. And trim this. Then I believe we have one more. Bring it over here. I'm going to extend here again. And that is the last rise, so we need to worry about that. Then I'll just clean this up. I'll trim this. So we see it. Okay, so after we've completed our stairs and ramp, the next thing we're going to tackle is this roof on the shed. That's sending from E to F. So the first thing that I'm going to do is extend the effectively the rectangle into this next plane. So I'm going to just draw some lines coming up. I'm also going to do the back. And I know that, draw this line here too, that all these are converging to this vanishing point. So I'm going to draw this line to the vanishing point, and then I'm going to extend it here to create the first corner of this protrusion, and this one will come down to this other vanishing point, and there you have the initial box created. Now in this back corner, I'm going to bring this back here to this vanishing point as well, and then likewise to the other side. Then I'll clean this up. It's right there, there. Okay, so there goes our box. Guess I should trim that as well. There we go. So now what I'll do is just match some properties, because that's going to be a dash line in the background anyway. So let's just use this. So we'll have that, that, and that we won't see. Okay, great. So there goes the box, the extension. So the roof is going to be built into this shape. So we're just going to run our diagonals to discover our geometric center. And we'll do that for all these areas. Well, actually I don't need it for this, but we'll do it for here. This line will be straight up. Converge, trim that. Straight up. Okay. And now this is ascending from E to F, so I'm going to put this there to that midpoint to kind of create that roof form, the initial roof form. The same thing would happen over here on this side as well. And then this point should be converging onto this there. So let me clean this up a little bit so we can see. That's like that, don't need that. And actually, let me leave this line down here. I'll reverse this one just so we can see the form still. I'll go ahead and match these properties. It's there, we see it. That's that. And actually, all of that would be that. Okay. Again, that would go away. Actually, those X's that go away altogether. As with that, and we're left with the roof form. Now I can draw this in the back just to know that it's there, kind of, and leave it as a dashed line. Okay, and there you have it. There's your roof. And the last thing we're going to tackle then is this cylindrical tower rising from point G and to point H. Okay, let me lock that again. Put that away. Okay, so polyline. So what we want to do, and this is a little tricky, it's actually easier to do this by hand than it is to do it in AutoCAD, but at least a portion of it, drawing the actual circle. We're going to actually just draw a line here and offset it to the geometric center that we can find by drawing, or this, in this case the diagonals were already drawn in, so, but if they weren't, we would have simply drawn them in. And I'm going to extend this line. Okay. And then what I want to do is also offset this line. So we need to take these squares that we've created and divide them into fourths. And I'll show you why here in a second. Alright. So the circle is going to kind of sweep around here, and you can kind of eyeball this already, but we're going to give ourselves some more marks to help us find the exact point of this. So what I'm going to do is use my divide tool. What I'm going to do, I've divided this already, so you see 4 distinct quadrants within the plane, and I'm going to subdivide this into 4 separate units for each one. So to divide each of the 4 quadrants into fourths. So I'm going to use my divide command again and click on the object and 4, and I'm just going to repeat this for each one. And the last one. Okay, so now I'm just going to draw my line for that 4th block to create a connection point. And this one would come here. Great. And these are going to be the points we're actually going to connect to. The circle will run through the top of the radius, or the outside part of the arc will touch this point. And let me actually put a point there so we see it. And you'll see what I mean when we actually get there. There. And then again there. Okay, so now that I have this, also what I want to do is begin to draft these lines out. So this is coming all the way up to H. And basically I'm going to repeat the same process here. We'll do our ellipse last, which is the way that I'm going to do it in AutoCAD. You would draw this by hand. So I have that one. Let me draw the second one out. This one in the back, and then again this one here. Okay. Now these are converging, so that's my reference point. So I'm going to go from H and I'm going to drop this down here like that. And then this one will come to this vanishing point here. Let me do some trimming. Okay. Bring this back here. And then bring this last one back here. Okay. Alright, so we got some lines going on, so we trim that. Don't need to see that. Let's actually trim to that. Don't need to see that. It actually ends there, ends there, there. Okay. And now we have the box shape basically created that the circle will kind of fill, the form the circle will fill. And I'm going to go ahead and make that this kind of hatched line as well, because it's really just a reference for us. Up you see. And again, I'll draw the X in, or my diagonals rather, to define my geometric center. And do the same thing, and I'm just going to draw a line in and then offset it to that geometric center. Geometric center. And just trim that out. Same thing this way. And extend this. Trim this up. Then I have my areas again. I'm just going to go around and to each one. So that's that, that. Okay, and this one divide. 4, 4, 4, 4. Same process we used previously. Okay, and just do these cross beams kind of going this way. So that's that. That. Okay, and there's that. 4. Okay, great. So now I'm going to come back down here. Let me show you what I mean by why we put these marks in here. So now that we have the kind of this frame built, let me go ahead and put my points in just to be consistent with what we did the first time. Put a point there, put a point there, put a point there, put a point there. Yeah. Okay. So now what's happening is this, if you can envision, this circle is kind of spanning and spinning around in here, right? It's kind of, but it's not going to be, it's more of an ellipse than a circle. So this is much easier to draw by hand. The tool that I'm going to use in AutoCAD is going to be the spline. Seems to get me the closest to what I'm trying to achieve. And the reason why I have these points here is that that's the point where the top of the arc strikes before it comes back to the edge. You can kind of see that. And this will spin around here and then touch this here and then again coming back here. And I'm trying to see my arc. We're just going to close that. Alright, now we're going to have, in doing this, I'm going to have some overlap here, and that's just, this is the cleanest that I can get it, that I know how to do in AutoCAD. So, easier to do this and to do this by hand for this case, but we can still clean this up to get the primary shape. But as you can see, it's just following those points around, but it should be completely tangent to it and shouldn't overlap when you draw it. We're going to go ahead and just continue it here and see if we have better luck with this spline. Either way, we'll make it work. So this is wrapping, so this is going to go from fourth quadrant here, 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 and then I'll hit close. Kind of get the top of that going on. And at this point we would just draw some straight lines straight down to connect, and you can see that it's not hitting exactly what I'm doing in CAD. This is, like I said again, this is much easier to do actually by hand. And I'm just going to make sure that I extend this out. And offset that line again, and of course you would just be drafting these lines straight down there, and that's actually off a little bit, so I'll bring that here. Where this is striking, trim this. Trim this, and there would go. There are basically our cylinders there, and then we can just delete that line and cut this off. So that what would happen is that would go like this, and we would just trim. So that would go away, and that can go away. It kind of leave us with our cylindrical shape. And the same thing over here. And I'll make this a different color to make it easier to see. Alright, so actually let me just match the properties here so we can see this thing there. And we'll have to, let me go back and convert that actually to a polyline if you're in AutoCAD. And yes, I want to convert it. It's fine. And I want to convert this one as well. It's fine. And now I'll match properties so that you could just see this a little bit better, what we've created. There you go. And there goes our cylindrical shape kind of coming up in perspective. And again, this is going to be easier, and then I can just trim around. Well, let me unlock my layer to make it look more apparent. just trim basically that away from it. I'll lock it again. Alright. Put that away. And that is how you complete the perspective geometry exercise. If any questions, please just let me know. You can send me an email or ask me in person. Now when you're ready to print this thing, as part of the assignment too is to print these pieces out. I'm just going to go Control, or actually Shift P in my on Macintosh. You would do a Control P. I have my paper size set to 11 by 17, and I want to go, rather than display, I want to do a window, and I'm going to go around my box. I have fit to paper. Go edit page setup too. I want to make sure it's centered on the page. Okay. And for me, you could go DWG to PDF. I have an option to print directly to PDF. It's a little bit different in the Macintosh. And I'm just going to open the PDF in preview so you can see. And there you go. So you can see the pieces that we've drawn in and kind of the supplemental geometry that helped create the form. Not too bad.